to drive 75 in the rain where you can't see the length of a tennis court in front of you. It's ridiculous. And it shows in how many of our people have accidents between Lake Charles and Lafayette. They really need to do something with that system to slow those trucks down. I'm honored to be here with you today. 17 years since Katrina. It started it off for me back in Louisiana, and shortly thereafter came over to Hurricane Rita. I was honored to be here in Calcasieu Parish and down in Cameron, and I got to know a lot of the people. And all they want to do is raise their families, and they want a job, but they also want safety. And the results of tearing up more wetlands is going to have an impact on our safety, because with the absence of the wetland, it doesn't slow the hurricanes down. And when you dig more channels or deeper channels, it's going to allow more surge to come into the city of Lake Charles and into West Lake, where the majority of the other plants are. And those are my concerns. I'll take any questions you might have now, or collectively between me and Jim, James. Thank you.
Would you repeat the pricing that you mentioned, saying where that price is determined? I understand that it's higher now because of global demand, but you said something about local pricing as opposed to pricing elsewhere.
Yeah, LNG is on the global competitive market.
But it's priced right here, right? And
yeah.
Okay.
But it's based on what the global market has paid for it.
Gotcha. Okay. That's what I need.
And when the global price go up, if you pay 35 for a British million, whatever that jingle-majou it is, I'm an egg major. It drives up the price of natural gas here. When we were paying 3 something, now it's 9 something. And that's what Entergy and Clico got to pay. And in turn, it raise your electric bill and your gas bill.
Can you give me a sound bite as far as, so you're an ag major.
Ag major.
You're talking about science, though.
Yeah.
You're saying that what those LNG plants are doing, the pollution and the destroying the wetlands, are going to make us a bigger target? Or
make us more vulnerable.
More vulnerable.
Absolutely.
What do you base that on? Other than common sense?
Oh no, there's a bunch of scientists. It's called the National Oceanic and the National Hurricane Center.
Okay.
And most recognized scientists around the world is that the things that we're doing to heat up the earth is having an impact on heating up the ocean, melting the cap, the Arctic cap.
Okay.
The ocean is rising. There is some predicted that we could have a 1-foot ocean rise off the coast of Louisiana.
By when?
I would have to check, I think it's
2050, they're saying that it could be 2 feet of water rise.
Okay.
We can watch that.
Okay.
That is going to be significant. When you have high tide and a hurricane coming in, that much of coastal Louisiana as we know it could be underwater. And I didn't make that up. We didn't teach that when I went to Southern University in ag. We were talking about how much more corn we get per acre and how you make a calf fatter in a few months. And now we're worried about, will we be able to still farm south of Interstate 10? Because of the impact of what people say climate change, but climate change is created by man-made pollution. That's the biggest contributor to climate change. And it's warming the water, it's bringing in more microburst storms in, and it's making a hurricane come in stronger. And that's the collective wisdom of men. Yes, Michael?
The lady talked about agriculture and natural gas.
Yeah.
The global natural gas price is set at the Henry Hub, which is over just to the east of us.
I knew he meant that. I was just asking for clarification.
But the ag connection hasn't been mentioned yet, and that is our food prices are going up because the methane is needed to create fertilizer.
Right.
And calculations, I've been trying to get somebody to contradict me now for about 3 years. Every shipload of LNG that leaves from Southwest Louisiana sacrifices 200 million servings of rice. If you convert the amount of methane that's in a ship into fertilizer, that's how much rice could be grown with one shipload of methane. Hundreds of millions of servings every time a ship leaves. So,
you see, the hardening part of this is the Japanese, they turn off their nuclear plant, right? The Japanese, they didn't put wind turbines up. The Japanese, they didn't do thermal or geothermal. They have not insulated their houses. Same thing in Europe. You with me? So we're paying the price for them to have an easy transition from coal and nuclear. We're paying the price because we got the dirty end of this stick.
Right.
It's produced here. It makes our coast vulnerable. It weakens our economy and our coastline. And they get to say, well, we can buy it at that price. And they buy it at the global price and they drive up the price of fertilizer. Last year, I bought a ton of fertilizer to put my horse pasture. It cost $500. This year was $1,100 a year later. Because natural gas is going up and it drives up the price of fertilizer. Now just think about what our farmers out here are doing. All because these idiots in Washington and Wall Street thought it was a good idea to sell LNG, to get into LNG sales. It's not only a danger to our community, it's a danger to our damn economy and to the world food supplies. When farmers have to pay twice as much for fertilizer because some idiots that have never been in the oil and gas business, go look at the idiots that created Cheniere. They came out of 2 White Houses, Bush and Obama White House, along with a bunch of idiots off of Wall Street. And they created this company under the name of Cheniere, owned by the damn Japanese, who was owned by. Okay? That's the bottom line. I don't mean to be gross. I got good friends in Japan. This is about the commercial side of this. Don't do it in Japan, but you can do it in Calcasieu. You with me? That's bullshit. All right, you got something?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to reiterate, the price of natural gas has gone up so much because of these export terminals. And we've saw that after Freeport LNG had an explosion in June, the natural gas price took a nosedive immediately. And that's because there was more supply for the domestic market. So we see that we're now exporting over 20% of the natural gas that's produced in this country. The methane that's produced can go to manufacturers to make other products, to even make plastics and make fertilizers. But the main use of the methane is to produce electricity. So when you notice that your electricity bill is through the roof, this natural gas is what's causing your electricity bill to be through the roof. Louisiana is very unique. We have basically doubled down on oil and gas in every possible way. The electric grid in Louisiana is 70% of natural gas. So when the price of natural gas goes up, every person in Louisiana gets to experience that. And again, we'd already talked about how it's tied to fertilizer. All the food prices going through the roof is because we're exporting. So the truth is, every person in America and every consumer and the manufacturers are having to pay more and more for natural gas, and it's causing us to be not competitive on a world market. So you can say that it's terrible for the economy, and you can look at that and see how true that is today. And that's all because we're exporting so much. And that's only because we have 8 facilities in the country that are exporting. They have plans to do 20 plus in the Gulf Coast, 7 more facilities here in Lake Charles. So if we're already exporting 20% of the LNG, and then they want to build even more, can you imagine what your electricity will be? What your bill will end up being if we allow all these plants to get built? One thing I forgot to say earlier, there's a website. You can do some good. You can help us out. SWLa.org. You can go there. You can send a letter to President Biden, to the FERC commissioners. You can also stay in touch, and we can continue to this conversation and really push back on what's detrimental not only to our coast but to the entire country, the economy and the people. Because the fact is that our coast is affected, but the more greenhouse gases that we emit into the atmosphere. It affects, there's no place on the earth that's safe. We see the rivers drying up in Europe. We see at the same time we have drought and flood and more wildfires. It's connected, you know, and we're not even, you know, remotely moving fast enough to do something different than what continue to double down on fossil fuels so we can just continue to give them money, you know.
Any other questions
for us?
Yeah, Governor. General. Let me ask you. The past week, there was something that died in committee in the legislature where they were trying to get real-time notifications when the plant had an explosion, and they killed that. And that's part of the problem is like with the chlorine plants that we have throughout the state. There are problems with us being notified when plants discharge, especially here in Calcasieu Parish. I lived 30 years away from here, so when I first came back, I immediately know when they were discharging because my eyes and nose started burning because I hadn't lived here.
That's a good question. That was SB 20 by Fields out of Baton Rouge.
Right.
And I was in that legislative meeting that they led the Senate Environmental by Senator Lambert. And we laid some of the best rationales we could. This is about the 6th time since I moved back to Louisiana and I left the Army. We've taken bills to the legislature to discuss air monitoring. And each time we get beat down. We got beat down kindly by Senator Lambert and his crew this year. But I remember a few years ago I was in House Natural Resources, and this is what a lady told me. She's from Bogalusa area, a U.S. House member. She said, Louisiana House member, General, that smell is a smell. That pollution smell is the smell of money. And she wants to hang out with the boys in the room. You understand? Like Stuart Bishop and them. She wanted to hang out with them. That's what she said. Another guy, McFarland, told me, he said, General, if them air monitors gonna cost the company money, I ain't for it. He didn't say nothing about protecting his people. You with me? That's what McFarland said. Remember, just clear as day. And you go back and look at the tape of every time we put together an air monitor, we get beat down over the same thing. The next thing industry done is they brought in a $2,000 day lobbyist who said, hey, look, we work with the plants working with the local government. We got an hour to tell the people by state law that something been released at the plant. Because based on the Exxon data, the first hour they're too busy putting the fire out to tell the people live next door. Hello. We brought all that up as ridiculous. You with me?
Yeah.
And on top of that, after the lobbyists got through talking, here come the LDEQ, Louisiana Environmental Equality. You know what their representative said? Well, we don't need no more air monitoring. We good. Now these are people we pay our tax money to hire them to enforce the law, tell the senator, no, we got enough air monitoring. You with me? Yeah. It's ridiculous. Why does that happen? Because the LDEQ is influenced by the legislature. And the way the legislature have written the rules, they can only enforce rules that the legislature approves. And the legislature get mad at the LDEQ, they go after it. Now, LDEQ budget by nature comes from fees and fines. So they should be an independent organization, but they're not. And our own people who protect us went before Senator Lambert, and it didn't take Senator Lambert long before he took a vote to say, I'm against this. Now, the chairman said, I'm against it before they took the vote. That's Louisiana politics for you. Hello, welcome to the real world. You know, he was bought before he went in the room because the industry had already gotten to him. Probably 2 or 3 fine dinners down there at the City Club in Baton Rouge, or the golf outing, the Louisiana Country Club, and a couple of Saints tickets. That's all it takes. So they killed our bill 6 times on air monitoring. Yes, ma'am.
It almost sounds as though you're saying that this area is doomed. Is that what you're saying, or are there things that can turn this around? And if it's the way that you say it is, has every government agency from FERC to DEQ to our police jury, do they just not care if bad things happen to us or what?
I don't think it's doomed, you know. We've had tougher times in America. It's not doomed if the people get active. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
The people can change this. The people in Cameron Parish can change this. The current police jury don't work to serve you. They serve industry.
Right.
That's proven at every meeting.
Are you talking about Calcasieu and Cameron?
Oh, hell yeah. Both of them. All Cameron don't know, they learn from Calcasieu. They know, got all the tricks here in Calcasieu, along with the Port Commission, who somehow have the secret powers to take any piece of land that they want. Any of y'all voted for these Port Authority people? Where the hell they come from? But they're very powerful. I don't think it's gloom and doom. I think the overall impacts of the climate will be. But the things that can be done in these two southwestern parishes, which are key to the strategic survivability of the country, is that the people need to demand that elevation and location and dredging and taking out wetlands need to be considered, and the people need to be heard.
That's right.
I went to one of these police jury meetings, and it was like watching something in Russia. There was no recognition of the people even being in the damn room. It was a conversation between themselves. They don't give a damn about the people that they're supposed to represent. They give a damn about the contracts that they're going to get from the plants that's coming in here. And many of them on that police jury got contracts with companies that's doing business here. It's called regulatory capture. I know that. Why the hell you don't know it? They need to be published in the paper. You understand? Take a look at where these police jurors, they don't pay them enough as a profession. They make their money on the side from the plants. They come here and they get contracts with it. Right. And some of them work there. So they're working for the plants. They ain't working for the people. If they were, our schools and our roads would be in better shape here in Calcasieu Parish.
Yeah.
And our drainage would be better. We got people that have been places that have been, the bayou's been stuck since damn Rita. The same damn bayou down there that's flooded, that bayou was messed up during Rita. All I do, I know about it because I went there. And here, 17 years, or well, then it was 15 years later, that bayou's still popping. What the hell has the parish done about it? Hello. Well, I appreciate y'all coming. But I do think there is hope. And I'm glad you asked that question. And the reason I'm here and the reason we're doing this as volunteers is to try to awaken the people that live here to demand more of the government. We, in our lifetime, have seen things change. We have seen change happen in this town and in this parish for the good. But more change needs to happen, and the people here need to take control of their government, as opposed to the government working for industry. Thank you very much.
I'll just say one thing about that too. I mean, obviously, the people who are still in Southwest Louisiana love this place, and they don't believe that it's a sacrifice zone. Otherwise, they would not live here any longer. I mean, I'm still here because I'm tied here. This is where I grew up. This is what I know. These are the people I know and I love. But the truth is, what happens here in the next 4 years on this coast is going to determine what happens on the planet in the next 50 years. You know, it really is that kind of a situation. We're not over. It's not done. It's not gloom and doom. We've kicked this can down the road a long time. This climate change, greenhouse gas, the situation is on the precipice. There's no more road to kick the can down, and we're being told we're going to use all of the above energy policy, but looks just exactly like more of the same. We're going to we can't do offshore wind unless we also do offshore oil. You know, this is not the way. We know what the future can be, and it's not a continued double down on fossil fuel. So anyway, Thank y'all so much for coming. I appreciate so much. Thank you, General. And we'll see y'all another time.
And oh, by the way, I'm with the Green Army.
Oh,
We are not an organized army, we're a guerrilla army. We don't have an address, we got an idea.
yeah.
And the idea is find solutions, pollution.
Find solutions to
Find
pollution.
solutions to pollution. We ain't trying to put nobody out of business. We said, let's find solutions for this pollution.
Amen.
And that's the mission of the Green Army. And we got $2,800 in the bank. We don't take money from nowhere.
Yeah.
We keep our damn brain. You with me? That's the mission of the Green Army. Thank y'all very much.
All right, thank y'all.
Mike,